As you can probably tell from content I've made in the past, I'm a huge fan of DIY tools when it comes to self-custody. And in particular, there are a number of DIY tools that I think actually work better together. Early last year, I did some content on being able to use SeedSigner and SeedKeeper together because I think these are a really good combo. But one of the big challenges since then is I've had a number of people requesting kits to be able to build this themselves. And for those who've tried to build it themselves, just the number of fake NFC modules floating around has made it a lot harder for people to sort of have success trying to build this one themselves. So I thought I'd do something about it and make it much easier to bring SeedSigner and SeedKeeper together in an easy to use, easy to assemble form factor. So in this video, I'll just be quickly running through some of the smart card functionality that SeedKeeper can add to SeedSigner. I'll be running through some of the different variants for the Smartcard Hat that I have made, do a quick demo of how it all goes together, as well as look at some additional features that have found their way into my SeedSigner fork since I made the video last year. So let's get into it. And if you haven't already done so, hit subscribe, and that way you can stay in the loop for content I make to help you find your way in the crazy and often hostile environment that is cryptocurrency. So I'll just give you a quick demo of the functionality. Basically what I have here is the new SeedSigner Plus large screen display hat, and I've actually just got the smart card reader slot just there. This does also work just fine with other form factors for Raspberry Pis, but the bigger display makes this better for the video. So I'll just run through the functionality on that. So if I just tuck a SeedKeeper card in there like that and go to Seeds, go down to load a seed from SeedKeeper, I can actually just enter in the card pin and I can actually load seeds off the card. And in addition to being able to load the seed of the smart card, I can also load a passphrase off the smart card. Except this card doesn't actually have any passwords on it. So hang on, I'll just shove this one in. And I can also use any of the passwords on the card as a passphrase. And so there we go. So I've basically loaded the seed off this card and the passphrase off this one. And I can also just load them both off the same card, or you could just continue without a passphrase. So that is how we load the seed. And for any seeds you have loaded on the SeedKeeper, you can just choose backup seed in the menu and choose to SeedKeeper. And basically there you just give the seed, it'll connect to the SeedKeeper and make sure it can talk to it. And then you just give the seed a label and you are good to go. Likewise, we can also load the Multisig descriptors. There we go. Or if you don't want retail cards, you can also use this to flash the Applets onto compatible smart cards. So for example, we can go into Smart Card Tools, DIY Tools, and we can actually install any of these Applets onto a compatible Javacard. So let's just have a look at the Smartcard Hat itself. So basically the Smartcard Hat comes in 3 different variants that all relate to the size of the smart card slot on the card. This first one over here only takes a SIM-sized smart card and only has a single reader just on the top. This one in the middle takes a full-sized smart card and doesn't actually have any room for a SIM-sized reader. And this last one over here is actually a dual slot variant. So it has a full-sized smart card reader on the top and a SIM-sized smart card socket on the bottom. The important thing to say for this third variant is there is only one card slot on this card, so you can't use the top and bottom card slot at the same time. You can only have a card in one or the other. And one of the questions I often get is there any difference in using a SIM-sized smart card versus a full-sized smart card? And in terms of functionality, the main difference is that the SIM-sized smart cards typically do not support NFC functionality. They are contact reading only, whereas the full-sized cards will often have NFC functionality in them, especially if you buy a retail Satochip card. Other than that, the functionality is pretty much the same, though the important thing to say is if you want a retail Satochip card, they only come in the full-sized form factor. Satochip will sell you a SIM-sized DIY card, but it doesn't have any artwork printed on there or anything. It's just a standard smart card. I will also say I have tried cutting down the J3H145 smart cards down to a SIM size. That is a little bit fiddly and has been a little bit hit and miss. The biggest advantage that the SIM size form factor has going for it is size. And you can see that this SIM size smart card hat is quite small and compact. This one actually has a stacking header on there, but if you actually solder it directly to the pins on the Raspberry Pi, you can actually fit the whole thing into exactly the same case as an open pill mini, adding smart card functionality with no additional increase to the size. If you want a full-sized smart card reader soldered in there, obviously it then sticks out the top, but again the thickness here is exactly the same as a standard open pill mini, which is quite a bit thinner than one that's using a stacking header in here, but again this one will require soldering directly onto pins, whereas the stacking header that is in use in this one, and all of these string here, are basically just plug and play, you know, no extra soldering required. Basically, you just plug them in together, put the display on top, and it will work just like a normal SeedSigner. The other thing that you will notice is that all of these smart card variants I have a USB-C power input on the side, which is actually quite nice in terms of quality of life, meaning that you can power the thing both from USB-C or power it from the micro USB ports on the top. So it's definitely nice to have that optionality with the Smartcard hats as well. The only thing that's worth pointing out in terms of the USB-C power plugs is that if you try and use these Smartcard hats with, say, a Raspberry Pi 4 or a Raspberry Pi 2, the USB-C ports are obscured by the ports on the device. They do still work just fine and actually fit together quite nicely. These two have the dual slot readers in them that I use for development. But if you are using one of the larger Pis, the USB-C power input isn't really going to work for you for now. And the last thing I'll mention with the 3 different configurations for the smart card reader is that this full-sized SeedSigner Plus, that's the large screen display hat that has just very recently come out, works quite nicely with the full-sized card reader with the stacking GPIO header, and that's why this device has a bit more extra thickness than a standard SeedSigner Plus. But yeah, the form factor is just about perfect, having the card reader just sit out the bottom there. Obviously the USB-C power input on the card hat isn't really necessary. Likewise, the SIM size slots aren't really accessible with this form factor, but other than that, it works really quite nicely, and that's ready to go as of today. And I didn't really have time for it for this video, given that SeedSigner Plus hat only just came out, but I'll definitely have a play with some different variants of these smart card hats targeted specifically for that large display hat that can allow you to sort of solder it directly onto the Raspberry Pi, add the smart card functionality without meaningfully increasing the form factor of the SeedSigner Plus. So stay tuned for that one. The other really great thing about these smart card hats is they are not SeedSigner specific and actually just use the standard Linux CCID driver for smart cards. So you can actually just use these smart card hats to do any of the normal smart card stuff that you might do in Linux, just like a USB smart card based driver. Now, in terms of where you can get these smart card hats, you can actually buy them as of right now on my DIY store here. You can also order them turnkey fabricated from PCBWay, or you can just take the information off my GitHub and hand assemble it yourself. And I actually did a live stream a few weeks back showing how to assemble and debug one of these that you build by hand. And one thing I'll quickly mention in terms of stores is, you know, my little store ships all around the world, but if you keep an eye, you'll probably also see these appearing on a number of other little stores over the next little while. And again, if you want to, you know, sell them yourself, there's nothing stopping you from just grabbing the design, getting them fabricated, and you're off and running. And the last thing I mentioned with these smart card hats is if you are after something that uses completely off-the-shelf commodity parts, the easiest way to do that is just to buy the Smartcard 2-click module. They're about 25 USD. Slap that on a Raspberry Pi sort of development breadboard hat, and you can use my fork with it exactly the same as any other SIM-sized reader. And I'll just quickly show you how they go together. It's really quite straightforward. So basically, you just take your Raspberry Pi Zero. This one already has a standard pin header soldered right into it. If you are using one of the ones without a soldered pin header, basically this just goes straight on over there like that. And on my printables, I've actually got some 3D printed little plastic spacers that you can put on here just to make the whole thing sit nice and flush. Basically, then you just solder the first 5 connectors there and the last 4 there. That'll help hold it on. And then the screen just goes on top, and there you go. So you've got your Pi Zero with a SIM-sized smart card hat and a display on just like normal with exactly the same form factor as a normal Pi Zero. I obviously haven't soldered this in, but once you do, if you want to unplug it, I found that rocking it backwards and forwards like that is the best way to get it off. If, however, you wanted to use one of these ones with a stacking header on there, maybe you already have a SeedSigner and don't want to do any soldering. So I've just got a case here for the full-size slot reader and the stacking header. Basically, normally you would put the camera on. I'm not going to worry about the camera for this demo here. And then this just goes into there like that, sort of putting the ribbon cable down in there first. It is snug, but it does fit. And then we just sort of want to help guide that in, just using a screwdriver. There we go. So once these have all engaged the holes down there, we can pretty much just sort of push it down and make sure that it's flat along the edge there. You might need to push down the corners just to really make sure it's set in there correctly. And then we just grab our stacking header. We just make sure that the pins, We just make sure the pins are lined up. You can actually just look through the hole to do that. And you may just need to move it past this little notch here that helps support the screen. So once that is all lined up, we can just push that down. Then we can just slide this additional piece in over here. And then we just push the screen down. So make sure the screen is lined up with the pins. And then we just push that down, and at least for the moment, there are some sort of pegs on this that actually hold it in going into these holes. So it's sort of a press fit kind of thing. I might come up with a better revision for this, or if someone who's good at 3D printing can come up with a better design, power to them. So, and I'll just put in a micro SD with my fork of SeedSigner flashed onto it. Just plug that in, wait for it to boot. Okay, and just to make sure everything's working, if we go into settings, and we go down to list card readers, we can see that it's found the SEC1210. It will also say it's found the NFC reader. That is normal, so you don't need to worry about that. And then just to make sure that it can talk to a smart card, we can go into the settings and choose test smart card. And then just put the card in. And there we go. You can see it's found the smart card. And that will work irrespective of whether this is a retail card or it has the Applets on it. And then from there, once it's all working properly, we can just load the seeds onto it, just like normal, from the load seed menu. There we go. So I'll just load that test seed in. There we go. And we are sorted. And last thing I'll do is just run through some additional features in my fork of SeedSigner that you might find interesting or useful. So the first one that is useful, particularly in terms of DIY smart cards, is I've bundled some additional apps in the device. So if we go into DIY tools and go into install Applets, you'll see that we not only have the Satochip, Satodyme, and SeedKeeper Applets, but we also now have the SmartPGP Applet, which lets you use this with a bunch of GPG stuff. We have the Specter-DIY Applet, which basically lets you use your SeedSigner to flash the smart card needed for Specter-DIY that I run through in these videos here. And we also have the VivoTOTP Applet, which basically allows you to flash a Ubico compatible one-time password generator onto these smart cards. And I'll run through how to use some of these applets in more detail in a future video. The functionality from Earthdiver's SeedSigner fork has also now been incorporated, which means that this is able to load encrypted SeedQR codes generated by Krux. And basically I can just load them in just like any other seed. So for this one, I just had the encryption key of A, just like that, and can also export seeds in this same format that can be read by either this fork of SeedSigner or Krux. You can also load a BIP39 passphrase in just as a QR code. And basically you can just choose scan passphrase. There's no fancy format for it, it's just any standard text QR code. So for example, I can just scan that with the SeedSigner, and bang, it has just loaded the passphrase in as test. And if you're looking for something to be able to create a text QR code, you can actually find that in the tools menu. So you can actually just encode any text you like. So I could just encode the letter A, generate a QR code for that, and either show it in full screen. So maybe you would have, 2 different SeedSigners, or maybe I want to actually generate that QR code and transcribe it by hand. One of the other features that I added was GPG verification, in that in my previous video here, I demonstrate using Sparrow to verify software from a variety of other projects, and I thought that was a really useful feature. So I've also added it to my fork of SeedSigner. The process for using it is pretty straightforward. If you just go onto the micro SD images folder on the SeedSigner micro SD card, and for example, for the latest release of Sparrow, I've just put the installer file, the manifest that contains all the checksums, and the signature for that manifest file. I can then just take that micro SD card out, stick it back into the SeedSigner, and if I go into Tools and go down to the GPG Tools menu and say Verify File Sig, I can just go down and select this manifest file here. So firstly, it has checked that that manifest file has a valid signature and that the text file is okay. And we can also now say check SHA-256 sum. And there we go. So basically what it has done is verify for us that the manifest file that we downloaded was correctly signed by the project author, and that the Sparrow installer matches the SHA-256 signature for that signed manifest file. So we can pretty much then just remove the micro SD card and install the version of Sparrow that is on here with confidence wherever we like. And if you want to see exactly which public keys are bundled with my fork of SeedSigner, you can just jump onto my GitHub and have a look there. It's quite a variety of them for a number of different projects. You can also import your own public keys if one of the ones you want is not there. And if you have a project where you would like me to include your public keys with this in future builds, just open a PR, have a link to the project, and I can incorporate that into future builds. Because as far as I'm concerned, the more tools that can be used to verify builds of other software and can be used to cross-reference a known good set of public keys for various publishers in the space, all of this helps to contribute to make the environment safer overall. And the last thing I'll quickly mention is future work for the Smartcard fork and Smartcard Hat. And the next piece of work that I really want to have a look at is to add the option to, have your SeedSigner be able to load a transaction as a QR code, to be able to review the details and all of those things, but for the actual private keys to remain on a Satochip smart card, and for the smart card to actually do all of the transaction signing, significantly boosting the security of the entire setup and removing pretty much all of the trust that you are placing in the SeedSigner itself. In terms of features that I would like and I would use, I'm also going to add some additional stuff around the GPG functionality with smart cards as well, so making use of SmartPGP. So there you go. And I hope that was really useful just to sort of see some of the progress that has happened in terms of being able to use SeedSigner with smart card based options like the SeedKeeper, but I think it's an exciting area of work in terms of this open source project. If you are someone who would like to discuss this fork of SeedSigner, or you're having a go at building one of these smart card hats yourself, I've actually created a Telegram group specifically for this fork and this sort of SeedSigner hardware hat, and there'll be a link for that in the description. If at some point in the future the ability to add smart card based storage or transaction signing is something that sort of fits within the orthodoxy of SeedSigner as a project, I'm happy to do the work to make that happen. But in the meantime, I'm happy to continue to maintain a fork to have both that functionality and other functionality that I find interesting, even though it might be a little bit heretical in terms of the orthodoxy of SeedSigner as it exists today. This stuff is just the nature of open source and is part of what it means to sort of work through these things together as a community. If you have any questions about the smart card fork, the smart card hat, or have any experiences using them, just leave a reply in the comment section. I do my best to reply to all of them. Other than that, stay safe. Thanks for watching, I hope that was helpful. Hit like if you think that other people would find this video useful, and hit subscribe if you'd like to be kept in the loop about future content I make that helps people stay safe in the crypto space and to recover if they get into trouble. If you have any questions about this video or a topic that you'd like me to cover, just leave a reply.